Rewind. This is Dope Nostalgia.
Well, friends, this is episode 161 of Dope Nostalgia, and it's going to be weird because this is the first time we're doing a subject of an artist I can't stand. But my friends Quinn and Charlie are here from L2L Podcast, and there'll be also, a little bit of advocating for Kid Rock, a little bit of Kid Rock sucks. You can pick a side or you can just sit back and enjoy whatever you like to do. This episode is all about Kid Rock. Here's a little information. Wikipedia moment.
Please bear in mind that Wikipedia is not to be taken as actual 100% fact. Any donkey could edit it at any time. If I'm reading you the artist's bio, that stuff is real truth.
And I am reading you the real bio right off of KidRock.com. Kid Rock burst onto the music scene in 1998 with his Devil Without a Cause album and hasn't looked back. From hit singles like Ba Wada Ba and Cowboy to Picture and All Summer Long, the recording artist has blazed his own trail in the music world, having sold over 26 million albums to date and continuing to tour. Kid Rock holds the Michigan record for most tickets sold with 150,000 for a run of 10 consecutive sold-out shows, and recently set the Little Caesars Arena attendance record in his hometown of Detroit with 86,893 attendees and 6 sold-out shows. On the heels of his arena success, Kid Rock recently announced his American Rock and Roll Tour 2018. Well, this needs to be updated. In tandem with his brand new album, Sweet Southern Sugar. The tour kicks off on January 19th, blah, blah, blah. That is not important because it's outdated. All right. So it says Sweet Southern Sugar is Kid Rock's first album recorded in Nashville and features recent singles Tennessee Mountaintop, Podunk, and the tour name American Rock and Roll. Kid Rock remains at the center of media attention in regards to his musical and personal ambitions, leaving his mark in a multitude of genres. Maybe now I'm going to look up a little bit about the album we're mainly discussing today, which is Devil Without a Cause. And now on to Wikipedia. Devil Without a Cause is the 4th studio album by Kid Rock. Released on August 18th, 1998, the album saw Kid Rock continuing to develop his sound, moving away from the predominantly hip-hop sound of his previous albums to a largely rap, rock, metal, hard rock, and nu metal sound, and marked the finalization of his stage persona as a redneck pimp. Additionally, the song Cowboy is seen as being instrumental in the development of the fusion genre, country rap. Devil Without a Cause was a major commercial success, spurred by the popularity of the single Ba Wada Ba. The album sold 15 million copies and was certified diamond. The album also received critical acclaim for its genre-mixing sound. Now here's a little bit of more background. In 1997, Jason Flom, the head of Lava Records, attended one of Kid Rock's performances and met with Kid Rock, who later gave him a demo containing the songs Somebody's Gotta Feel This and I Got One For Ya, which led to Kid Rock signing with Atlantic Records. As part of his recording deal, Kid Rock received $150,000 from the label. By this time, Kid Rock had fully developed his pimp redneck stage persona and rap metal musical style and wanted to make a redneck shit-eating, shit-kicking, rock and roll rap album. Okay, I'll stop being a jerk now. And I'm just going to hand this over to Quinn and Charlie, our friends from L2L Podcast. Welcome to the show. Well, I've gathered Quinn and Charlie here today.
dearly beloved.
Dearly beloved, we have gathered Quinn and Charlie here today.
Surprise. Zoom winning.
Join us.
Whoa, buddy.
I didn't even propose.
You didn't know they swing that way, but you guys are so cute. Discovering what am I saying here? Sorry, 2 beers in. So welcome to Dope Nostalgia. We're going to talk about, for the first time, an artist that I can't stand. Because usually, like, I like to talk about everybody because it's the 90s and this is not a biased show. But this is a hard one for me because everything about this guy pisses me off. I would like to introduce to you Quinn and Charlie, of course, from L2L Podcast, which we've done together for a long, long time. And Charlie's also on It's a Conspiracy Podcast. Are you doing the wrestling one?
Not anymore. No,
Okay.
just conspiracy right now.
Pod fade.
And the band, the Give 'Em Hell Boys. Make sure you check their amazing music out. What's going on with the album EP release and everything?
Oh man, well, so we did this thing where we started making a record, going like, this pandemic's only gonna last for, what was it? How many fucking weeks were we supposed to be locked down to flatten the curve? And then that lasted 2 years.
Yeah.
So then we were like, it's hard to make a record when you're not making any money. So that project started dragging out, and credit cards were getting maxed and all that sort of stuff. So we had to kind of put that on the back burner a little bit, slow our roll, go, okay, maybe we should wait till we're kind of gigging again, right?
Yeah.
And so we're like so close. But in the meantime, we came up with a plan where we're like, well, we need to be active. We want to be active. We want to prove to the world that, like, we didn't just sit on our hands this whole time. So then we came up with this idea to bang out this EP by doing it live off the floor, produce some videos and all that sort of stuff. And we got that out this summer, and it kind of, man, it just happened. It was crazy how it went from are we getting it mixed? Are we mastering? I don't know, like touch and go here and there. And then all of a sudden one day it was like, oh, by the way, your album releases June 3rd. And we're like, okay,
boom, it's done.
So we got to do it. So we got it all out June 3rd. And so we managed to put out this 5-song EP called Buckle Polishers. And that was awesome. What was fun about that was it was just us doing covers it's all covers of mostly classic country songs, kind of our take on them, just like the way we would play them live, bring a little more of our energy to these songs. And then if you stick around for the whole EP, you get through the so-called Buckle Polishers. There's a banger on the end of there for you that by one of the most classic country artists of all time, Motorhead. So anyway, but that did what it needed to do. It it went out to the world. People heard it. People were like, great, you guys are a real band. We'll keep booking you. More shows got booked.
Good.
We've been productive. We continue to be more and more productive. So it looks like we might just actually get to finish this album sooner than later.
Amen.
But we're so close. It's wild. We're like 80% there, and we haven't worked on it in like over a year. And it's like,
that part's a little frustrating, but it's a great sounding album, and I love to listen to it. Nobody else can.
But we'll get it finished soon, and then you'll hear more about it, and then there'll be a plan to start rolling that out. So hey,
it's nice you guys are doing the thing and back into it as much as you can be at this point. It's good.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. It's bringing joy.
We're not saying anything that nobody else has said. It's still touch and go. It's still weird. It's getting less weird overall, but it's just,
it was already hard to book original music before the pandemic. So I mean,
exactly. Yeah. And so, and here's the thing that's the most frustrating now is that we found anyway, is that people now, speaking of being, hey, now it's cool to call in sick all the time because bosses just have to accept that. Now people cancel all the time because you just have to accept that, right?
That's true.
People cancel with impunity.
Yeah.
And it's annoying. It's been happening less and less overall though. So, but yeah, that's where we're at. We're hopefully we'll have some new music for the world.
Soon. Give him Hellboys, everybody.
2023.
That's right. Now you might remember also Quinn and Charlie from our Silverchair episode and our Simpsons Sing the Blues episode, and Quinn's episode where he depressed the hell out of all of us, telling us the story of the Gin Blossoms.
Dark.
Oh yeah.
The dark story, the real, because nobody knows that that's a real.
We need to get to the real story, and I'm glad you did. Nobody was sad at all. No, it was great.
I remember telling on that episode. I think I remember recording with you in person. By the way, we did that.
It was right before. It was February 2020, I think, something like that.
No spoilers here. Go back and listen to the episode. You'll get to see the evolution of this podcast because it was like 2+ years ago now.
We might have been maybe 15 episodes in at that point.
Yeah,
it was early.
But also in real time, like I just remember going, like I was about to kind of drop the big kind of revelation at the end of that story, right? The story of the Gin Blossoms and making their first record and all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I remember going like, oh, I'm about to bum in my head going like, well, here it comes. Here's a bummer.
Here comes a real bad time.
Up to that point, I've just been fascinated with the story, but it's just been a story I've been like thinking about myself.
But that's the whole point.
Yeah.
There was no sugarcoating it. This was like, this is what happened.
Yeah.
This is what happened.
We're dancing around it, but just go
check it out. So. Get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we pride ourselves on having a good, positive, fun time with everybody, but sometimes, hey, this is a story that had to be told, and you did a great job, Quinn. Thank you.
Well, thank you. To be fair, I also went on It's a Conspiracy once and bummed them all out too. So
yeah, that's just
I think I've got a lay.
When you want,
if he's not running the show, he's gonna bum you out.
If you want to cry inside, you get Quinn as your guest.
Well, I don't know. I like tragedy. Tragic movies are good, compelling movies to me, you know. So I like a good tragic story. I can't help it.
Well, I'm not going to be sad. I'm going to be just annoyed and at this fucking idiot we're covering today.
No bias though.
Here's a bucket full of bias.
I'm going to just, I'm going to try to choose my words carefully and not be a total bitch. But I'm not a fan of this artist, as I mentioned earlier. This is the first time we're covering someone that I can't stand. But he's a big artist. He's very famous. He sold a lot of records. And, Bob Ritchie, born and raised out of Detroit, Kid Rock is our topic today. My last name, or my grandpa's last name is Ritchie, same spelling. I'm kind of wondering. I wonder if we're related. Fuck.
There's a neighborhood in town called Ritchie.
Ooh,
my grandpa is related to that. So I don't know. That's where we should have the next Kid Rock concert. Not in front of the Clairview Walmart.
In front of the Clairview Walmart.
Do you remember that story on Facebook? Wasn't that like 5 years ago? It was July 4th.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody who had made an announcement that Kid Rock was going to play in front of the Clairview Walmart.
That would be such a perfect place for him to play. That would be amazing.
The Clairview Walmart kept getting calls all fucking day. They stopped answering their phones. I called too. I recorded my call.
Clairview Walmart, how can I help you?
Hi, I was wondering how to get meet and greet passes for the Kid Rock concert tonight.
That's not happening. That's just a prank.
Oh, that's too bad. Maybe.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Do you think that while Kid Rock was coming up, I mean, to this day, right? Like, he must have at some point shown up on like a flatbed trailer in front of a Walmart, right?
Sure, I'm pretty sure he's doing it in some of his music videos.
I am playing at Walmart.
Oh, okay.
Hold on a second, though. We got a Kid Rock fan here who I would have never thought in a million years was a Kid Rock fan.
Oh, I go further than that. Okay.
Is a devil without a cause advocate today. Our buddy Chunks, Lord Chunks.
Yeah, we've brought Charlie on here to defend Kid Rock. Charlie, the Kid Rock apologist.
I mean, okay, it depends what you're talking about, though.
Yeah.
I'm not apologizing for him today.
Not today's Kid Rock.
Not the current era.
Not the current mega edgelord version of Kid Rock.
No. Just 1998 Kid Rock.
Okay.
That's about it.
This is okay. Now he had an album out before 1998, I believe, right?
He had
His very first 4 or 5.
I thought it was 3.
Oh, really? Quite a few?
Yeah.
Well, okay.
The song I was listening to, he had opened for Ice Cube.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So obviously he had been doing some shit.
Yeah, his first album came out in like 1990.
Okay.
And if you
sandwiches for breakfast.
Grit sandwiches for breakfast. I love how it's like a black person welcoming him into a soul food kitchen, going like, "No, you belong in here." And he's got like the Kid and Play like flat top with a big tall fade into the giant flat top.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "No, white boy, you belong with us." Right off his first gig, like the first album, he's like, "Black people like me."
Now, the history of Kid Rock. Okay, so he's from Detroit, right? born and
Mhm.
raised Detroit, Michigan, which he's very, states it quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
But he's a Southern rock kind of guy. Southern rock. So where do you think that happened? Is it just the fact that this is like his influences? This is the music he grew up listening to?
Okay. Charlie, do you have any hot takes on this? Or
I mean, obviously he came up as a rapper, right? He was a rapper first, but then when rap rock and all that kind of stuff was really taken off, he managed to get himself a new recording contract, because it's his second recording contract, because he had 3 albums before Devil Without a Cause, and he had 1 record contract and it didn't do shit for him. Okay. So this is actually his big actual breakout was his second recording contract. And he'd been working with his new band on the last album, the Twisted Brown Trucker Band, and they just started playing all these rock riffs and stuff, and it worked for them. So that's how he got his sound, and that's where this Southern rock. It's funny because I think a lot of people call him like rap metal or something like that. It's not really a lot of metal. It's more rap rock.
I don't hear the metal, but I definitely hear the sound of what was big at the time with like the comparison to like a Limp Bizkit sound.
Yeah, it's very Limp Bizkit-y.
I don't hear Korn really, but I definitely hear a Limp Bizkit sound.
No, I think he's just this side of rock enough, and brings in enough hip hop just to stay just south of being full on new metal.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like,
well, but I think that there's definitely a good chunk of tracks even on this album that are barely rocky at all. Like they're more like an older school hip hop kind of flavor that they're working.
And then he fucks it right up right away. There's a track literally called like "Ode to the Old School," and then his verse comes on, and it's the worst verse on it, and it changes everything. And actually, I was thinking about it too, listening to this. Okay, so I have never sat down and listened to this whole album through intentionally. I've heard it way back in like 1998, 1999, when like I remember my little brother was like, Kid Rock's great. And I was like, you're little and you don't know shit about shit. But whatever, good for you. And he played it a few times around the house and shit like that, right? Anyway, otherwise I was like, had no interest whatsoever. I was just like, this was not anything that I was like, oh, I gotta go check out more by this guy. Right. Anyway, and then so today, one of the things that was really hitting me, I'm like, his entire flow on all these tracks is so old school. Like it's so rudimentary. It's so.
When you say old school, what school are you referring to?
Like of hip hop, like
Grandmaster Flash type.
Okay. But like but even rudimentary for that stuff, right? Like those guys had better flow. But like he gives it away right off the bat. The very first track is called "Bob Witta Bob." That's a reference to Rapper's Delight.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's literally a lyric from Rapper's Delight. Like that's what "Ba with the ba, the bang, diggy, 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 set the monkeys up, jump the." You're like, that's them. And he turns into like, yeah, it's hard. But up to this record, if you do ever listen to any, he was like full on Detroit, like like white boy hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
Comes from the same school as ICP, as Eminem, like there's all these like Detroit area white rappers, and he's one of them, and he like has branched away since, and probably starting at this point is where it was like kind of breaking off into a different direction.
Did Kid Rock and Eminem ever do anything together?
This record?
Did you listen to this record?
I did listen to this record. Where's Eminem on it?
Slim Shady. He doesn't call him Eminem, he says Slim Shady.
Fuck Off. That's the track.
Yeah, the song Fuck Off.
But he's not on the song.
Yeah.
He does a verse.
Oh, he is.
He's got. So by the way,
I did listen to it.
The most impressive lyrics on this entire album are Eminem. Because Eminem actually has Eminem flow.
Because he's Slim Shady for sure.
Kid Rock's rapping, and this is the thing. If this is however many albums in, and I haven't really done a deep dive, I've just heard some of the earlier stuff. It's very very early 90s, and it's fairly rudimentary rap and hip hop, right? And he continues to this, like, it's just all he can do is think about how many ways he can rhyme something with dick.
Or hose.
Yeah. He's like,
hose, bitches, man. I've never heard somebody yell at me for so long about how awesome they are.
No, hip hop is like that. I'll give him that one.
I know hip
A
hop's
lot-
like that, but
hip
man, every
hop is
song,
grandiose. It's
every fucking
self-aggrandizing.
song is
It's
about how amazing he is.
braggadocious.
And okay, here's one here's one of the things that I love about this album. Even listening back to it today and knowing a little bit of the backstory, that he came out with this album and all he's doing all over this album is bragging about his record deals and about going platinum. And up at the point that
But he hadn't gone platinum yet.
he hadn't done any of that shit.
No, he
That's
hadn't
the
even had a
funny
hit.
part.
But it was so self-prophetic because he's gone platinum over like 11 times in the US for this album, 3 times in Canada. So it was a self-fulfilling prophecy of sorts, where he just
Yeah,
came
but-
out,
If,
came out
if you tell
swinging.
everybody, you believe it into existence.
fake it till you make it
Mhm.
to the highest degree.
I think what really happened here was that obviously he's even kind of not late to the game per se, but he's not like the first, like Rage Against the Machine had already been around for several years, like Korn albums that were popular predate this. Limp Bizkit was just about to hit too. Like this was the flavor of the week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was the right time to market this kind of sound, and like he leaned into it hard.
Sure.
Yeah. It's look, I listening to it today, I was like, okay, I don't hate this.
Mhm.
I don't love it. I'm just kind of very like, I'm like, oh God, this is a very juvenile, like adolescent boy, too much testosterone, angry at my parents, but I don't even know why. They're just stupid. And like there's a time and a place for this. And, it's like, if you're listening to it now and it's nostalgic, then I get that. But if you were like to listen to it now and be like, oh my God, the genius of like, ripping off some, like, here's the difference was the samples on this one. And I know it's the band playing them or whatever, but they're still sampled, right? Which
Sure.
is, a way a lot of
You
artists
could call
even
it,
do
I guess, you could call it phrasing, I guess.
Yeah, however you
band's
want to put
doing
it or
but
whatever.
if you
Or
wanna be a
less
bad
obvious
guy.
than like once he leaned into this direction, the next album had like straight up Metallica riffs.
Well,
and,
no,
like,
I mean,
Southern
kind
rock
of, but not
riffs.
really. But yeah, but like when we were talking about what we were actually doing for this, you were like, how many of these damn Kid Rock albums do I got?
I didn't say damn. I was just how much
And
Kid
I was
Rock
like,
do I have
well,
to
listen to this one, listen to this one, and then the only other thing is American Badass, just the single, and that's
Oh yeah.
that's
Well, I feel
those
like-
for me. That's like the peak,
Yeah.
and then everything after that was diminishing returns.
It was the peak because he was already a certified star at that
Yeah.
point. He actually had gone platinum. He
This-
had Pamela Anderson was his woman,
Yeah.
and he made just a big fucking spectacle, American firework, fucking dreamland of a video.
For me, this album was the build-up, and then that song, that or just a single, was the peak, and then it was diminishing returns after that.
Well,
So,
it's weird too because
those are
this-
my terms. That's what I'm defending.
It's not long after this that he kind of abandons the rap rock thing, not altogether, but more or less.
Well-
Now, when he does rap rock, it's like it's the it's like the exception on the albums, right? Like
Mm.
all of
guess.
his singles.
He's more singing now, and
Yeah, his singles
He
going
leaned
into the
into the
2000s.
Country or ish.
Yeah, they became more basically just country
I want to
rock.
steer back in reverse because I want to ask Charlie about his discovery of Kid Rock and what it was that got you into the music, into the album.
I know that I heard. I can't remember if it was just on the radio or the video for Ba Wada Ba, and I was just like, I don't know. This is fun. This is greasy, trashy fun. I got
It is white trash fun.
greasy, trashy fun, and that's basically. And I listened to the whole album just at dinner. Over dinner this evening, I had the album on. We were cooking and eating, and then I was like, yeah, it's still good, trashy fun. Like it is. It's musically shallow as hell. I can agree. I can, for sure, but greasy, trashy fun, and I still think it's greasy, trashy fun.
Well, when you say
Musically shallow is not a problem for me.
No,
I don't know if
no.
you've noticed some of the things I listen to aren't exactly deep all the time, right? So, I
And it's
mean,
always
that's not the
necessarily
issue.
I don't mean it necessarily as a bad thing, but
Okay.
it just
Yeah.
is. That's what it is.
Okay, I'm gonna pop in and just say one thing. I don't think it's necessarily musically shallow. Lyrically, it's
lyrically
very
shallow.
shallow.
Yeah.
Musically, it's not that bad. Musically, it's just like, it's just leaning into this lane of like, these very 90s like influenced, hard rock and southern rock riffs, right? And like if you took Kid Rock right out of the equation, like it's it wouldn't be bad, like just party music, a little on the aggressive side or whatever, but not the most aggressive by any means. It's like it's not like a Venom record or something. Like it's it's got some tap your toe like headbangable quality or whatever. It's just how rudimentary and juvenile and like and I know that a
It's the
lot
lyrics,
of hip
though.
hop,
It's the
a
fucking. And I
lot of
never
hip hop
listened
is
to lyrics, but I listened to every single fucking lyric on this album. And I know me, I never fucking do. I'll hand him this. Sometimes when you're listening to lyrics, it's because I can't understand what the fuck they're saying. He's
nice and
very
clear.
good. He's very good at like pronunciation and shit. He's shouting this shit at me, but he's doing it in a very clear way.
He's enunciating while he's shouting at you.
How about
thanks fucking Richie.
how about the fucking voice correction, pitch correction with the weird vocoder effect on what's the ballad?
Only God knows why.
Oh yeah.
Only God knows why. It's so weird because now you've heard him sing kind of ballady-esque songs a bunch of times, right?
I don't mind that song.
The song
it was
itself
weird
I don't
to me.
hate, but it's such a weird effect.
Yeah.
Given what we know about how it, the effect or whatever, like better versions of the effect are used for auto-tune and shit.
But the funny thing about auto-tune was it didn't exist yet. So that's not auto-tune. That's literally just like
auto-tunes existed forever.
No, but the very first song,
yet.
the very first song, no. The first commercial application of auto-tune was Cher, right? Believe. And that came out.
Did you watch that Netflix documentary about auto-tune?
No, I haven't. I just looked into it, that it was weird that it was originally used as like an echolocation thing to like find oil under ice or something in like the Antarctic. It was like
it wasn't meant to be
with Cher's voice.
Yeah, exactly, with Cher's voice. They were like, we can bring the oil to the surface if we just get Cher.
That's a South Park episode right there.
There's
the
the
thing
oil.
is-
Get it.
But it's interesting because I'll give it to in a weird way. It's like he predicted autotune. Like, because he threw this weird, obviously not having any faith, or maybe he was his producer. By the way, technically, okay, Charlie, you were saying record deal, but this record deal was still technically an independent record that just got released on a subsidiary of Atlantic Records. And then when it was successful, Atlantic was like, all right, you're
Okay, we'll move on.
Yeah,
to the
come
big
on
leagues.
over. You're definitely on the roster now. And the next album was 100% released by Atlantic, right? But yeah, he had no faith in just like singing a ballad, but he wanted to sing one apparently. So they just threw this weird vocoder or something. I don't know what exact effect it was on there, like some kind of phaser, flanging kind of like.
Now I can sing.
Yeah, it would be weird to hear a version of this song. I mean, obviously, I guess if he did it live,
he must have done it
but,
live
like,
by now. Yeah,
just without the effect. But like, it would be good to hear. It'd be interesting to hear a studio version of it, just straight, because like now he sings just, I mean, fine enough, but like, for all
not,
like all over things.
He's not a fantastic vocalist by any fucking
Sheryl
means.
Crow and all kinds of stuff.
We'll get there.
But anyway, that was, I don't know, that was interesting to me. But the problem I still had with any of these things, it's like, I'm like, oh, he's trying to go deep here, but he's about as deep as the kiddie pool, like it's tough, man.
That's a better way to put it. Lyrically shallow. And I get that, like, and there's a lot of times where we'll be talking about an artist and I'm like, yeah, I don't get this guy. And he's like, and you're like, Quinn, you're like, yeah, that's because you don't like to listen to lyrics a whole lot. I'm like, well, I mean, not a whole lot, but sometimes I do, but not for stuff like this. For this, it was more about the vibe and the instrumentation and the fun and the greasy trailer park quality.
No, I get it. Like 100%, like adolescent, like, yeah, whatever. I don't give a fuck. Fuck you. Like, whatever. Like, yeah, Like, Josie's a character, right? Like,
Mhm.
I mean, his one verse on this whole album is like half a verse.
Fuck. You're
And he
just
just
going where I was gonna go.
Well, perfect. That's how you
Okay,
how you
sweet.
segue.
Yeah,
Or you-
Devil Without a Cause, Josie. I'd heard about Josie, from Kid Rock's stage show and such back in the day, and I know that he passed away too soon.
Rest in
He's not
peace,
with us
yeah.
anymore, Josie. But I loved his fucking lines on this, especially about this. I'm 3'9" with a 10-foot dick. That's not even tripod, man. That's fucking whoa.
So here's the thing, though. If Josie put out this same album, no Kid Rock on it, and it was just Josie, I think I'd be way into it. I think I would love it if it was Josie.
Yeah,
like
but
a
I
little...
don't know. Okay, now I don't know. Obviously, there is no Josie without Kid Rock, because I guess the story of Josie is that he was this dude who was, because he's not a kid, he's a dude.
a friend.
Well, he's-
Was,
yeah,
was he a
he-
friend and a collaborator?
Well, no, he met Kid Rock because Kid Rock met him because Josie was always going to his shows and like huge energy, going nuts in the front row, always jumping around, jumping on tables and shit like that. So eventually he kind of met the guy and he was like, "Hey, yeah, okay, do you want to come with me," kind of thing. And then, so I'm pretty sure like that. I don't know how much of an MC or a rapper he was or anything, or Kid Rock wrote him some lines, basically, or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's how he got, that's how he got in the game, kind of thing. But
Oh yeah. That's it's pretty obvious.
it's not like he had his own career or something, and he's just,
But
No.
what I'm saying is,
He
it's
just
like,
kind of
okay,
went on tour with them and shit, right? Hype man.
yeah, he was hype man.
kind of a mascot in a way, really. I
Yeah,
guess
yeah.
more, well,
Hype man.
Hype man.
well, he had less to do than like Flava Flav. Flava Flav's like a hype man.
But that's kind of what I pictured Josie to be like, though, was Flavor Flav.
A little bit, but I think he came out, like, obviously his health was a thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't long for the world. So I don't think he wasn't like on stage the whole time, like going, yeah, right. Like behind Kid Rock, he was coming out and, every once in a while being like,
I don't know. I think it was probably, I mean, like I never got to see a Kid Rock concert in this era, so I don't really know for sure. But I imagine that he was probably out there quite a bit.
yeah, maybe. I don't know either.
Well, the
But,
thing about Kid Rock is he likes the big spectacle, right? So he likes the stripper poles with the strippers, and then Josie running around, and then his big band, and then fireworks and whatever else he can get going on at the same time, as much as he can.
Yeah. Well, okay, look, can I ask that question? I don't know if Naomi, this is in your list of questions. Was part of the appeal of Kid Rock was that he was leaning into that like white trash pimp
Yes,
persona?
I think so.
Like,
I mean,
were people,
probably, yeah.
there was a thing at the time for whatever reason that was like, this is great, this larger than life, like,
I swear he represented himself for the everyday man, obviously, and just like,
Well,
blue collar,
that's
drinking,
cool.
crushing buds, and like I just, but at the same time trying to be like, you could be like me too.
Right.
Well,
This
there's
isn't
quite a
hard. Listen to my
contradiction.
verses.
Look what I fucking did.
Yeah,
Look
it's
at me
true.
now. Look at my
Well, there's
fur
quite a
coats. Look at
contradiction
my bitches.
too, because like, like he's got a whole fucking thing about like how he's gonna get high and mow the lawn or whatever. And you're like, oh, I could relate to that or whatever. And then he's like, but I'm larger than life, bitches. I'm wearing fucking furs and look at this stupid hat, and I got a fucking little person dancing around on stage with me. But I mow the lawn just like you, and I don't like to go behind the garage and smoke a joint. Don't worry, I'm trash. Don't worry, I'm trash. I'm trash.
What
Like-
song is it that's on the album? I was listening to it, and it kind of stops for a moment, and there's like a breakdown where you can just hear him snorting cocaine.
I think
Oh,
maybe,
I don't know. I missed that. Charlie, do you know?
maybe Bull God.
It might
By
be
the
Bull
way,
God, but he just.
What the fuck
I think
is
it
a
was
bull
Roving
god?
Gangster, and then he just
Bull
everything
God.
kind of stops, and he just goes, and I'm like, what the fuck is that?
And the drums come back in.
Yeah,
Okay. What the fuck is a bulldog?
yeah.
or
What is a
bulldog.
bulldog? A bull. Yeah,
I know what a bulldog
I
is.
hated
What is
that
a
song.
bull god?
I hated it.
Yeah, I hated it too. And and also, it was the first single that did nothing.
It was the first single, eh?
Apparently,
Well,
at
yeah,
least
I
it
mean,
was the
that's-
What do you
first
think of
video
it?
that was released. And usually the videos are released in the same order as the singles.
Welcome to the Party was the first single.
Oh,
It was the
Okay.
second single. But
Oh,
that's
then
cool.
it was the
Whatever.
first video.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay,
Cool.
that's interesting.
Oh
that they-
God, Charlie, what do
So-
you make of that one?
It took 3 singles for this to catch on. Hey.
And that's when it was hitting mainstream radio, because that's when I would have caught it, and then I would have been like, oh hey, what is this? I mean, I thought Bull God was fine. I don't think it was the best. So I've honestly, my favorite song on the album easily is 100%. That was it right off the bat. That's I mean, Ba Ba got me to the party, and then Cowboy was just like, yeah, this is awesome, I love it. And they happen to be tracks 1 and 2, so that's good enough to hook me anyways for a good, enough goodwill for a good chunk of the album. But I didn't have a problem with Bull God. I thought it was fun. I thought I liked the line about going behind the garage with his Walkman and firing it up.
Oh right, I remember that.
Walkman. What?
Didn't he say, I grab my Walkman, but before I cut, I go behind the garage and fire it up?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were saying firing up his Walkman. I was like,
No.
"Oh,
I thought he was just doing some crack.
You're doing crack. He's doing something.
yeah,
Um,
but he's humble now, and all he
But
can
he's
think
got his-
about is New Orleans.
I
and
mean,
those jumbo
just like
shrimp.
every man, you grab your Walkman. If you're going to go mow the lawn, you want some tunes. That's it.
right. Okay.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, I'll give Ba Wada Ba is a good intro to an album. That is a great fucking kickoff track.
The banger.
Yeah. The buildup of the song is very, very good. Okay. I'm gonna say we talked about the cocaine, we talked about him talking about himself. He is a fucking dick talking about women. I cannot, you know me, I don't get offended by shit, especially like when people say this and that. I don't get offended by being called a chick or a bitch or whatever. But I mean, just all he sees them in every lyric is as objects, completely as objects, disposable, just I couldn't believe there was never anything on the album that made me think otherwise about his
Yeah.
relationship with women.
I
Well-
cannot defend him on this at all. You seem correct.
Okay, but this is not a defense by any means whatsoever. But the culture of hip hop at this time is very misogynistic altogether, right? Like, I mean, for the most
There
part,
was,
anyway.
there was one. This isn't something I thought offensive, but it actually made me laugh because I thought it was funny about going down on a chick in the hot tub, something like that. Like eat the pussy under the water and then blow bubbles up her ass.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, what am I listening to?
Pussy underwater, blowing bubbles.
Okay,
out her ass.
but nobody's answered my question yet. What the fuck
I'm
is a
sorry.
bull god?
I don't know what a bull god is.
Me
Even
neither.
then, I just didn't question it. I was like, okay, cool. Urban Dictionary says it's the founder and leader of the feral undead. So,
Like, is that what he's referencing?
I don't know if that's what
'Cause he doesn't mention any other references to at all in the song. Like, he just says, I'm a bull god. I'm free and I'm fed on all that is forsaken. I'm going to get you. I see through you. I'm going to get you. And then he goes on to say that, but now I'm humble and I can only think about New Orleans and those jumbo shrimp.
Oh, I like those jumbo shrimp.
See, every man, Naomi.
It's just,
But it's so, I don't know, what's the term, misogyny? I couldn't
Those are-
believe
okay,
how
but-
bad it was.
well, okay. I think you might need to do a little experiment and listen to a lot of like 90s hip hop, and even a lot of hip hop altogether, like just hip hop in general, even to this day. I mean, obviously there's artists who are the exception, but
Yeah.
like, man, misogyny is just part of it. Self-aggrandizing is part of it, like the braggadocious nature. But here's the difference: is like, for some reason, when it's like an Ice Cube or a Dr. Dre or something, I buy it a little more. Like, I'm more with it. I think something about like elevating your status by being self-aggrandizing.
Yeah,
and
but there's
you
something
know-
about this fucker doing it that pisses me off. I don't know.
And I wonder what that is, because I agree. When I hear Kid Rock do it, I'm just like, ugh, this is tasteless. But meanwhile, if I put on like, The Chronic and I'm like, bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks, like I'm just like, this is a jam. I'm into it, right? Like it ain't no fun if my homies can't get none. Like I'm like, this is great. I love this. This is a classic hip hop. And I never stop to think about like, well, maybe I think about it, but I forgive it or I let it go or whatever, right? But then Kid Rock, cannot stop using the word hoe is like every other rhyme. It's basically he either rhymes it with hoe or dick. Like he's so limited in his raps, man. He's so limited. I think there's a reason he moved away from rap. I'm like, I think he exhausted his ability to like be creative.
I've rhymed all the rhymes.
All the rhymes he knows, which
I've
is
rhymed
like,
all the rhymes possible. I'm to do
So
country.
he's like this about like his lyrics, obviously trying to fit into the hip hop aesthetic, whatever it is. But then women like Jamie King, who was a model, dated him. Pamela Anderson married him. Now we know Pam has a thing for the rock stars. We know, obviously. But I mean, like Tommy Lee, that made sense. This shit did not make sense to me at all. But hey, it's not my fucking life. They were only
here's
married
a question
for a few
you.
months.
When Motley Crue are being super misogynistic in their lyrics, are you more forgiving of their?
Nope. Dude, I went to the Motley Crue concert this summer and I was like, I like the whole spectacle of what they put on for for visual effects and shit. But it was the first time I've gone to a concert where half naked women were gyrating on poles, and like I have never actually seen that with my own eyes. I've never gone to a show like that. So all I could sit there and think was like, okay, well, this is definitely dated as fuck, but that's what the people are here for. Because they love this band and how this is the rock and roll lifestyle and rock and roll attitude that you'd expect from Motley Crue.
Yeah, you'd be
Right?
disappointed if you went and they weren't still just like living like it was the 80s, just like.
And I'll give you this too. I don't have a problem with strippers in any way. I think they're cool. I love it. If the woman is if a woman is making the choice to go up there and do that and have fun, all the power to her. That's different. I think that's just different than like what he's been, like talking about women. That's not the same thing to me. I don't know.
I think what you're saying
Motley
is
Crue don't make songs saying like my bitches and my hoes.
There's just the extra layer of grease that leaves a distaste for you.
Well, I remember when we listened to Nickelback and I kind of was like, man, why does Chad Kroeger hate women so much? Right? Because I was like, so many of these lyrics are just so anti-woman.
No, they're not.
They were, in my opinion, I found them very. I was very like, God, Chad Kroeger hates women. but like, when I listen to a Motley Crue song, I don't think they hate women.
No,
I just think they see them as objects, but they kind of celebrate them in their weird way of being.
They love those objects.
Yeah, I feel like Motley Crue more celebrates their.
That's my favorite object.
Couple of my favorite objects, I
mean, I'm gonna say, like, at that time, the music industry, the rock and roll lifestyle didn't exactly uplift women, and they still don't really. They still don't. Well, especially in country music.
But I think maybe there's a giveaway towards the end of this record when, like, I don't know how autobiographical some of these songs are. But the black girl, white boy.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's one that if I was to take any of the to take this track list and edit it so that it wasn't a 1998, 1999 CD length, I would cut that song.
Not only would I cut that song
is
I
terrible.
would suggest that Kid Rock not use the N-word.
Well, that's a thing.
Is he the one rapping on it? It doesn't sound like him.
That's him.
It's him. Yeah.
That doesn't sound like him at all.
There's only 3 people on lead vocals on this whole album. Kid Rock, Eminem, and Josie. Josie gets half a verse. Eminem gets a full verse. Kid Rock gets the rest of the record.
I did not realize that was him. I thought he was just singing the choruses. I thought it was somebody else
it's very
rapping.
It's very toxing-y. It's not very it's not rapping.
The thing about that song, and which is no way an excuse or an apology or anything, is that was a song from one of his earlier albums that he redid for this album for some reason. And it's just crazy that at no point nobody stepped up to say, don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't need this one. This one is not a good use of your
Don't
time.
call her chick. What the fuck, you
But
dumbass?
that's not even. I mean,
I don't think
just-
chick is the worst thing.
that's not the biggest offender.
Okay, the whole thing is bad. The whole thing is
That's not the
bad.
biggest offender.
Black
But
chick, white guy.
just in general, like, you don't need this one on this. If maybe it was on one of your earlier albums, you should let it go. But also another thing that's kind of interesting about it is that they did have that N-bomb drop on it, and I don't think it ever saw any flack. Like, I don't think it was called out. I don't think that there was the thing about it.
So he hasn't been
Oh, at the
canceled
time, no,
even
no.
now? Even
What's
now,
that?
if like he hasn't been canceled for it, like even now,
I
Retroactively?
don't think
Well,
you can
like,
cancel
can
Kid
you-
Rock, even if you tried. I think I don't think
I think
work.
I think
He
here's the
liked
thing:
that.
is we're at a point in this, like, you know, the in out of 2020, almost 2023,
mhm.
where you know it's gotten to the like cried wolf portion of canceling people, where you know like people have stopped really, like, you know, it's kind of got to the point now where somebody already has an established audience who's going to continue to support them, you know, who would show up in droves if they found out they were playing a Walmart parking lot. Those people are just going to double down if you tell them that you shouldn't support this guy because of something
Yeah.
he said, especially
Take-
you
take
know
it as a
Are
20
challenge.
these
yeah.
are these
plus
the
years
people who
ago.
stormed the Capitol? Yeah.
Not necessarily, although a few of those people definitely have Kid Rock CDs in their collection. But what I'm saying is, like, you know, like he's leaned into it. It's so funny that a couple of times on this record he mentions the fact that he doesn't have any politics.
Yeah.
Well, that's changed.
He was
That
so young.
has changed.
So young.
That's
so
changed.
pure.
I'm sure he did that back then. He didn't give a shit
And
about
then-
politics.
now it's weird because like he's definitely a Gen Xer, but he's turned into this weird like boomer like mega edgelord.
Yeah.
You know,
mega edgelord.
and I used to have
I like
some.
how there's a single line in his wiki under personal life. This one single line that reads, "Richie is an ordained minister and has a firearm collection." That's all it says. Who gives a fuck?
You know what's funny?
Yeah.
Mega Edgelord. That's my favorite Monster Magnet song.
Mega edgelord. That's weird. But okay, so
That's
you
funny.
know, I remember like I did have a weird moment of like respect for Kid Rock, and I'll tell you about it.
Mhm.
It was around the early 2000s when you remember what's his face, the Orange County Choppers, or not? What was the guy, Jesse James or whatever?
Oh, that piece of shit. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But at the time, he was like, this is when, you know, custom Orange County Choppers or whatever, like that's when that was all taking off, and he was kind of being turned into a celebrity. This is like the early days of the Discovery Channel going like, oh, we don't have to just show animals humping. Like, you know,
Wish
people
you
are
would,
apparently
though.
people are apparently fascinated by watching somebody make a custom motorcycle. Anyway,
Okay.
and then so because he was so popular on the channel, they started giving him all kinds of weird spin-off shows and trying stuff. And they did this one little travel doc series called I can't remember what was it called, Motorcycle Mania. They did like a handful of them.
Sounds like something they do. Yeah.
Yeah, and there were these like mini docs where they would follow him around for a period of time where he was like going on these like road trips, like driving his motorcycles across the country. And one of them was him and Kid Rock, and I think Barry Weiss
Okay.
all got together and ended up trying to like go drive down through Mexico. And like they went down like all the way like south, like past, you know, like all the touristy places, and got real far south into Mexico. Like, and so it was like, you know, kind of interesting. Like, I ended up watching like most of it because it was like, oh, then like, what do you do when you have a custom chopper and it breaks down and, you know, in the middle of nowhere? How do you deal with that? How do you fix it? And there was one day where they were like, they were stuck in the middle of nowhere, just completely cut off from the world. But Kid Rock apparently had been just traveling with a guitar strapped to his back, you know, like a real cowboy, you know, his 6-string on his back.
Yeah.
Anyway, and he just sits down on these steps of this building that they're nearby while they're like, you know, waiting to hear back about getting this part or something that they need to have, like, you know, fucking shipped from God knows where. And he starts picking the guitar and he starts playing Long Haired Redneck by Charlie Daniels.
Mhm.
And he does this like real sweet ballady version of it where he's like, and he's singing these, you know, those Charlie like, so just leave this long haired redneck alone or whatever. And I was like, holy shit, Kid Rock. Not only do you know that song, that's amazing. Like, this is before he'd revealed that he was like really actually this like secret like country, rock guy that, this is still early enough that this is still the like, like American Badass kind of ish era. This is pre-Picture, I think, even maybe. I don't know when Picture came out, but
I'm about to talk about when that came out. Anyway.
Well, maybe this is a good segue into it. And I was like, holy fuck, man. Like, I know it's not his song, but like him performing that song, I was like, oh, I never would have thought in a million years Kid Rock had any taste in, like music.
Okay, and that's another thing. That's what that kind of reminded me of another one of the things that like so this album came out, Devil came out, and I got into it. I was like, okay, cool. But then I remember something else that really brought me to it being like, okay, this is great. This guy's pretty cool. I saw it was a Much Music, Intimate and Interactive. Remember those?
Oh yeah, those were great. Yep.
Where he did a set, and at one point in the set, like he went around and instrument by instrument kind of did a solo on everything: drums, guitar, keyboard, just everything, right? And I was like,
to prove he had some talent.
It was decent enough. It wasn't like amazing, but it was like, okay, you know what you're doing. Okay, sure, that's pretty cool. And so that was another one of those things that I was like, this guy's all right. And then in the early 2000s, his next album Cocky came out, and then it started to slip a little bit.
Well,
after these messages, we'll be right back.
Dope Nostalgia listeners, I love you and I thank you so much for being a part of this show and its success over the last 2 years. We have what's called Patreon for those who want to support the show financially. For as little as $1 a month, you can become a subscriber and get bonus content, early podcast release, all kinds of cool behind-the-scenes stuff, and more. There's different tiers of membership starting at only $1 a month. And we even have some special merch for you guys who are in it for the long run. So please, join our Patreon. It's at www.patreon.com/dope nostalgia.
Love music? Who doesn't? Who and what were the albums and artists that really turned you onto music?
The ones that made you really stop and listen.
The ones that shaped your tastes and opened your horizons. That's what we want to talk about.
Dig deep into your vinyl, CDs, or even stream away.
Let's listen and learn all about what made you fall in love with music in the first place.
This is Learning to Listen.
So good.
Okay, interesting take. Could you read it like a human being, or?
That's exactly the way a human would read that.
Take two.
The ones that I don't know, shaped your tastes and opened your horizons. That's what we want to talk about. Dig deep into your vinyl, CDs, or even stream away.
Join Quinn, Charlie, and myself, Naomi, for a brand new album every single week on L2L, Learning to Listen. Found everywhere great podcasts are served.
Doctor, he needs an operation.
Is it water on the knee?
Operation!
Remove the pieces and collect your fee, but don't touch the sides. I'm the doctor for you.
Operation!
And electronic handheld operation, each sold separately, batteries not included.
Cocky, the fifth album, brought us the worst fucking song at karaoke that I've ever fucking heard or can deal with because of the fact that it's so overplayed. And if you know me at all, you've heard me a million times mention how annoying this song is. Thanks, Sheryl Crow, for getting involved and doing this duet with Kid Rock. And the thing is, it's called Picture. You all know Picture. I think it's probably his most commercially successful song.
Probably.
It's up there, yeah, for sure.
I didn't hate the song when I first heard it.
Sure.
Right? It was just basic ballad. It worked, told a story, whatever. It was fine. It was fine. It was never like, damn, this is a good song. But then for some reason it became, and here we are 20 years later from the release of that song, and it is still the most played song at karaoke shows. Well, everybody does this duet all the fucking time,
Oh,
every
God,
fucking
people
night.
on dates. Like, how many times have they gone like, "Oh, come on, you gotta sing a picture with me"? And you're like, okay. Oh, fuck. What
If
the
they could make royalties off of karaoke, can you imagine how rich he'd be? You
well, they
know?
must, right? They must make some. I mean,
Yeah,
I know once you
that's to be debated.
once
but-
you paid for it or not, however your karaoke charge.
Get your
but
tracks.
The idea though, the licensing is that those are like, you know, the mechanical royalties that they whoever gets those royalties.
Mhm.
But yeah, if every single time it got performed at karaoke, they got a
Mhm.
cut somehow, they'd just be fucking.
Yeah.
You would see there would be two people competing for who's had their songs sung more at karaoke, and the only reason that the other one might win is because it existed for 30 years before
around
Picture
longer.
did, and that would be Paradise by the Dashboard Light.
Yeah.
Those are probably the two most overdone duet songs at karaoke of all time.
Mhm.
But for some reason, I'd still rather hear people's mostly terrible takes of Paradise by the Dashboard Light. You know, everybody
Sure.
gets the timing
Yeah.
wrong on it for the most part. Than I
It's
ever want
not-
to hear Picture. I just don't wanna
Paradise
hear
is not as completely irritating.
You know
because
why?
There's
Because
because
there's
there's energy
movement.
to it.
And also the song changes up enough before it gets boring that you're like, oh, and then you kind of anticipate like, oh, are they gonna get the timing right on this part? Can they, you know, can you pull off Meatloaf? Can you sing like
Is Paradise twice as long as Picture? Do you think
3 times.
yeah,
three
probably,
times
oh,
as
yeah.
long? Easily.
It's a
Easily.
9-minute song, I think.
Okay,
Something like
and,
that. It's close. It's karaoke hosts like it because we can go do bathroom break. If you smoke, you smoke. You can do whatever. You can have
okay.
a good old
It's
time.
9 minutes, but Picture is 5 minutes.
Okay. Well, it's 5
So-
minutes of hell that I can't get back every
Okay,
fucking
but
day.
so because the biggest reason you hate it is just because of the karaoke scene.
It's never sung well.
No, well, it's karaoke.
Very, very rarely. It's never sung well. So that makes it even more torturous. But the song is so draggy and it's so negative and it's so like whiny that you're just like, oh, I fucking hate this song. And they always want to, I was after drinking. Yeah, they want to shout that shit at you.
So
But it's like it's a song that people who they want to do a duet together. They don't know each other. A guy wants to hit on a girl wants to hit on a guy. You want to do duet? Let's do Picture. Okay. And it's just
and it's a
it's
bummer of
always
the
a
song,
fucking
right?
it's always a bummer of a song. It's like this is not there's nothing romantic about these lyrics. Why the hell would you think this would be fun to do together?
I just kind of thought of this. Do you think it would parallel well with like Margaritaville? Or sorry, not Margaritaville.
No, that's a nice one.
Not Margaritaville. Oh shit. Oh, what the hell?
That's okay. Edit.
I mean, here's the thing: is Margaritaville gets picked at karaoke so much less than you would assume it would. That when somebody goes and
that's
get
not the right
like
song.
does Margaritaville, you go like, oh fuck, I haven't heard this in a while. I can't believe okay, you go fun,
No, it doesn't.
great.
It doesn't bother me at all, too, because it's kind of got a relaxing vibe. You know, it's not a negative song.
I mean,
like
there's some songs that you just hate because you know they're going to be performed poorly by drunks, like Journey,
and that's
Don't Stop Believing.
fine. That's fine because you're just having fun. But at least those are fun songs. The thing that kills us about Picture, I think, is the mood of the song.
Well,
It's just so like
It's just it's a mediocre song,
Mhm.
you know. And I don't know what it is about people that think like at least if they go do Jackson, that's another song that gets picked a lot, right? For like couples to duet.
Yeah,
You know, you're like, it's tongue in cheek, it's fun, it's a couple, it's like whatever.
they're
you know,
having a
it's like
good time.
It's got some pace to it, so you're like, it keeps the energy in the room up. People have fun.
Yeah,
But
Picture
is a
sucks the soul
drag.
out of the party.
It just brings everything to just a halt, and it's like, yeah, it's not fun.
Picture makes every vagina in the room dry.
Especially the one that got dragged up to sing it with the guy who thinks he's impressing the girl right now.
Yeah, it's like I wonder what the success rate of that is. That duet, not very good.
Listen, you know
you
what's
were
more
bringing
fun?
up. Weren't you looking up that info, Charlie?
I
Yeah,
can't
what song
remember.
were you-
I can't remember what song I was trying to think of. I mean, you're probably gonna edit this part out. The one where the guy
Cheeseburger in Paradise.
The one where the guy's cheating on his wife, and then he answers an ad, and then He finds out his wife answers the ad. That
If you like pina coladas.
That's pina coladas. That's the song.
Nobody
That's
does that
the
at
same
karaoke
song.
though. I wish more
That's a
people
different
did.
artist, but I've always thought it was.
No, that's the song I was trying to think of.
But it does sound like a fucking.
But it's
what's
a
his
bummer
face?
song because
Jimmy
it's like
Buffett.
I don't love my wife and I'm gonna cheat on her, and then you find out that she's
they
gonna
come
cheat
together
on
at the ending. They both realize that they both were like, oh, turns out that we weren't communicating, and if now that we found out that we were both looking for this thing in our marriage, the last verse is them like getting together and being like,
Well,
"Yeah, we're
they're like,
happy."
we were gonna cheat on each other, but I guess we'll cheat on each other with each other.
It's a song, Charlie. It's not real life.
So they didn't actually cheat on each other?
They were gonna.
Well, they would have if it would have been anybody else.
That would have been a good condom commercial.
Well, okay. It's funny though, because you'd think picture would be more triggering because I don't know I can't remember all the verses specifically, but I'm pretty sure that, at least the Kid Rock parts, he mentions that he is with another woman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's like,
I can't look at you while I'm lying next to her.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, how are the women in the room not going like, well,
They're
then
like,
fuck
this
you.
is so romantic.
Like
this
that
is
song.
so romantic. I want you. I want you now. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you people?
You know what song? I don't think it's a 90s song. It's an early 2000s song. So forgive me for, straying from our decade, but I feel like we've been talking about Picture, which is
We bleed over the
We've already
edges.
crossed the threshold. This is a whole new podcast now.
but that sends Amy into a blind rage where like she just like gets angry and fuck this song. I hate
Amy
it
is
so much.
wifey for all y'all that don't know Quinn.
My Amy is that Lips of an Angel. That makes her so angry when it
That
comes
song
on.
crossed my mind when you were mentioning that whole.
Yeah, because
line
it's the
here
same
next to-
premise. It's the same
Yeah.
premise as Picture. It's just not a duet. Right?
Yeah.
It's the exact same. And Amy's just so like she just gets triggered by it. She's like, that's such a dick thing. Like, then don't be with the other person. Like, and I'll be like, okay, I don't need to lecture about. We can just change the station. It's okay. I didn't want to listen to pop rocks on satellite radio anyway.
Damn.
So I'm surprised that more women aren't triggered by Picture. Is it only because there's actually a
understand
woman's
that.
point of view in that song?
Because they're both, yes, that's absolutely what it is. I mean, it's because Sheryl Crow can't do no wrong. You know, that's the way that they're like, Sheryl Crow, oh, she's great.
So if it was just the Kid Rock verses, you think more women would be like, no way, fuck that song.
If they were paying attention, maybe. I don't know.
Is that a large basis of your hatred for Kid Rock?
That song?
Yeah.
No, it
Is
was
that
way
like
before
the,
that.
The crux. Okay, it was before that. Okay.
It was way before that. From the first moment I saw him on video, I was like, what the fuck is this?
This guy. Get him out of here.
This
I
is
don't
a
like him.
douche.
I don't
This is
like
the douche canoe right here.
I could take or leave Kid Rock for the most part. Even now, I'm still like, whatever. Like, I don't hate the guy by any means. Like, whatever. Go be a mega boomer edgelord. Do your thing. He built a replica of the White House, like, on his property.
What?
Yeah. He gets drunk and goes on weird, like, rants at his bar in
money.
Nashville. Good for him. But if we're going down this lane, I think that All Summer Long is what really was like the song that made me go, all right, you know what? Fuck this guy so hard.
He took two great songs and fucked them right in the ass. Honestly.
Yeah.
Mashed them up and fucked them.
Well, the worst part is like, okay, we all know that Sweet Home Alabama has been overplayed. It's it's unfortunate because it's not a bad song, but I mean, and it's got its own kind of weird politics in the song too. That's like hard to whatever. Okay, if you're paying attention, but you don't have to pay attention. It's just like, oh, they're proud of being from Alabama or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah.
But then to take Werewolves of London,
Warren Zevon, rest in peace.
yes, R.I.P. Like, take a fun, clever song, take a great artist like Warren Zevon, and just bring him down to your fucking like Walmart concert fucking level.
Clareview Walmart.
Walmart.
Like, by the way,
Yeah.
now it's canon. It's now canon that Kid Rock did a pop-up concert at the Clareview Walmart.
Clearly.
Is where
we're gonna put it in his wiki.
I'm like, you can sample Metallica all you want. But leave goddamn Warren Zevon out of this, okay? Oh.
Since we're throwing around big heavy names, here's something interesting.
Okay.
About Devil Without a Cause, and I just am noticing this, but I was just looking at the writing credits on the album, and on Wasting Time, it's credited to Kid Rock, and it's also credited to Lindsey Buckingham.
I noticed that too. Is it a sample of a Fleetwood Mac song?
Must be, yeah.
I don't know.
There's definitely some obvious ones in there. There's some Aerosmith samples on this record. Not directly sampled, like the band played an Aerosmith lick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they use that. What did you call it earlier, Charlie?
Phrasing.
Phrasing.
That's what jazz folks call it, isn't it?
Right.
Or
A
some
reference
shit in there. It's phrasing.
Yeah, well, in jazz it's different because you reference something, but you're actually
and then you play When the
it
Saints
live.
go marching in, and then it's in your song, you know.
Yeah, weird.
I just love reading all this wiki shit. It's so fucking fascinating. The National Hockey League, our precious NHL, announced Kid Rock as the headlining entertainer for the January 28th All-Star Game in 2018, sparking negative online responses from hockey fans. But Jeremy Roenick praised the choice and condemned Kid Rock's critics, saying, "Kid Rock is the most talented musician I think ever on the planet. Because you can put
saw him on
any
Intimate and Interactive one time.
you can
He
put
played all the
any
instruments.
instrument in your hand or on your mouth, and you can play anything and rock a house and sing any kind of genre." And also, Jeremy Roenick has probably been hit in the head a lot.
I mean, a hockey player, so
That's right. Got a kick out of that. And then during Kid Rock's 50th birthday live stream, he announced that he would be releasing a triple album consisting of a hip hop disc, a country disc, and a rock disc. You think you're fucking Shania Twain now? That's a Shania move right there.
Shania Twain putting out hip hop discs.
Reba McEntire also just did that. So
a hip hop disc.
Oh,
she put out a remix disc.
A remix album, right.
You can't
No,
remix.
an album that was three
but a remix.
album, like
Yes.
I think it was called like Revisited, Remixed, and like something redone or whatever. So some of them are remasters, some of them are remixes, and then one disc is like re-recordings. Anyway,
So basically, I'm okay if Reba does it, but not if Kid Rock.
How the lines blur.
If you have
right?
not listened to the remix of the night the lights went out in Georgia.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Damn.
Oh, is it a good remix?
Slaps. It's a banger. It's like a
Put
club
that up
banger.
in my. That should help cleanse my algorithm in my Spotify. I should put that in there.
I
Get rid of all
Listen to
this.
on your
Get rid of
Spotify.
this. I know I fucked up. I listened to this on my
Next
Spotify.
year, your artist of the year is going to be Kid Rock.
I made
Yeah.
sure
He's
that
gonna
I
headline
went singing
your-
to it once.
He's gonna
Damn it.
he's gonna headline your Wrapped festival.
Yeah. I really need to get a separate thing for listening to research, and then when I actually
that's what my
wanna listen to
iTunes.
it.
My iTunes has become my Apple Music, I guess.
If you really wanted, you could probably get a couples account and then use one for personal and one for work.
Lady Mimu.
Yeah, exactly.
She has her own Spotify account, so I should just
Exactly.
use that to listen to garbage.
Turns out she's a
She just listens to
giant
so
Kid
much
Rock
Kid Rock.
fan. Who knew?
Yeah.
She
all
loves
about
that
cocky.
shit. She loves the pussy songs. So
Picture on repeat for some reason.
my he says pussy a lot, so she's into it.
Okay, so I like to go on Lyric Genius a lot and see if people have broken down, the lyrics
God.
of certain artists. Right?
I've
Well,
never even heard
sometimes
of
people make
Lyric
some-
Genius.
Oh,
This is-
you
okay.
should definitely use it for research.
be-
It's great
Mhm.
because
Okay.
sometimes people get deep. Like sometimes, like you're listening to I don't know who's somebody who makes like deep references. God, just even historical references. Like if I'm listening to an Iron Maiden record, sometimes those guys are going like deep into the history books, and I gotta like what are they referencing? Okay, like there's some like one-off battle and like that happened like the British Army versus like some small tribe in Africa, and they're like talking about it. I'm like, cool, now I knew all about this, right? So I like it. It's a good source for that sort of thing. Anyway,
What did
you
it
go
say
to a
for
Kid Rock album, and there is nothing to explain. Nothing.
No, you shouldn't.
So the way it works is that they
It's straight
highlight, and it's publicly edited, kind of like Wikipedia, right? Like, so people can sometimes kind of go and like change things or make new references or dispute things or whatever. But Kid Rock lyrics are almost devoid. There's like, if he spelt the word Romeo, in one of his rhymes was Romeo or whatever, right? And somebody pointed out that Romeo is actually a small town in Detroit, or not, in Michigan, excuse me.
Isn't that where he's from?
Maybe. But he just says, I'm coming for your Romeo. So I think people were just like pulling at straws to be like, there's got to be something we can explain here.
We got this. This has it has meaning, right?
Yeah. But so anyway, the way it works is that the lyrics will be kind of highlighted, and then if you click on them, you'll get like explanations about what they're talking about. And yeah, like Kid Rock's are not entirely devoid, but mostly devoid. But then you go to that song "Fuck Off," and that's got the Eminem verse. And then the Eminem is like, every other line is like
highlighted.
Yeah, because he's like, we got to break this down. We can talk about this. Like, there's something here, And even then, it's like it's still very like it's of the theme. It's like Eminem understood the assignment. Like he knew what album. This is the Slim Shady era too. Like, think about this, right? Here's the evolution. This is pre Slim Shady LP.
Yeah.
Right. That came out in '99. And then that obviously is pure hip hop, produced by Dr. Dre, extremely misogynistic, very problematic. Actually, some of the songs are like you listen to them today, and you're like, damn, like this was blown up. But I think the difference is, and the reason that we kind of maybe, I don't know, see if it holds up or not. But at least the thing that does work about it is the talent. Like Eminem is talented.
Oh, for sure.
He's intelligent.
Yeah. At least I don't know.
Yeah, he's said some pretty fucked up shit in his rhymes, and we all know it.
Oh, of course we do.
But I don't look at him and Kid Rock in the same manner, really at all, and I don't know why that is. Why is it that Eminem gets the pass?
Yeah, I don't know.
The things he says
because he writes it better. Because
he gets the pass on the things he says.
Yeah, is it just because he is just talented that you're like, God, it's like you're like, I really don't necessarily agree or like what he said, but God damn, I like the way he said it.
Didn't he say it good?
God, he's just his way with the English language and how he can manipulate phrasing and like. Just he can make words that don't rhyme, but not make it sound forced. It just sounds.
So he's not just trying to rhyme ho.
Kid Rock tried. He tried to make ho rhyme with dick, but it just didn't work. He's just really working that one.
Suck on my. Yeah. No.
Yeah. He rhymes. I'll give Kid. I said he mostly just tries to rhyme like ho and dick. He also tries to rhyme rock a lot.
Clock.
Because well. He does seem to stay away from that one.
I haven't heard him say cock. It would be the obvious fucking rhyme, and he just went right over it. Didn't use it. Maybe he has.
I think that's where they throw in radio edit, isn't it?
Maybe
radio edit. That was a weird thing on this record too. I didn't know if I was listening to a clean version of it because I'm like, some of these songs aren't clean, but some of them it was like you'll drop an N-bomb. But you'll throw radio edit over "suck my dick."
Yeah.
What is that? Because there was some calculation there about this. This
whatever whatever made him think he had justification to drop an M-bomb. Like, what is wrong with him?
He used to date a black girl.
Again, maybe? That, in my opinion, would be the first song to cut off the album.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like,
you shouldn't even
it was on the last record before this.
Well, that's just it. It was just, and it's not like it was on his first album and you're never going to hear it again because but it was just on the last one you just did.
But he was like, I could do it better.
Nah. This is the one's going to get more attention. Let's put this one on.
I hate this fucking guy. Okay. So before we wrap things up too, we got to talk about what happened in 1999 with Scott Stapp and him on the tour bus. Caught on camera receiving blowjobs from groupies. That was a big thing. But the funny thing too, and here's the Christian rocker Scott Stapp insists they did not have sex with those women. We've heard that before. Bill Clinton.
It's only sodomy, which should be worse in
sexual relations
with those women.
Well, hey, you got to give it to them because if that's a precedent, right? A precedent set by the president.
Yes.
A president.
A president. President. blah, blah.
President. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Sorry, I'm not Eminem. But so yeah, at the time you could kind of be like, what are you talking about? Dick sucks ain't cheating.
He says, Stapp says things got awkward between him and his video co-star, Kid Rock, after the incident. And so quotes, what sucks about this is Bob and I were friends. He'd been over to my house and we jammed and hung out. We were in Tampa playing with Metallica and I walked into his trailer and there were some strippers. It's a time in his life and a time in my life that we'd like to put behind us and not publicize because we have children now and they're in school and their friends read. I know he was pretty pissed off at me when that came out. All right. So apparently this sex tape didn't come out until 2006 because that's when whoever got their hands on it released it out there.
Leaked.
And yeah, exactly.
Leaked.
Well, I think Scott Stapp just gave himself away there that, because he's gone through some dark periods in his career. Was that around the time that they were getting sued by fans for sucking live?
Is that a thing you can do? Can you sue an artist for sucking live?
Well, I think you can sue anybody for anything. It just depends
just have
on
to have a good enough case and lawyer.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, you have to find somebody who's going to take on the litigation. Number two, you got to have a judge that'll not throw it out and actually go, you've got some valid.
Could have a good angle.
But I do remember that at the time, I think people had really turned on Creed. That it was at a real low.
I don't
point.
even know if Creed was still together at that point or if Stapp was still a part of Creed or if he'd already parted ways.
2006, yeah, let me think. 2000 would have been Arms Wide Open.
Yeah, I feel that by this time Stapp was already releasing solo shit and he was out of Creed because this was where Creed was building up to become with Miles Kennedy. What the fuck is the name of the band now? This is okay. Edit.
Well, I'm guessing that Stapp knew he had this video and might have been like, well, there's a few other people who have made the Pam and Tommy video would have been out by then, right? This might have been pre Paris and Kim Kardashian and stuff, but not too pre.
No, it was a really hot time to have a sex tape.
Yeah. And God, didn't fucking Screech from Saved by the Bell have a sex tape around the same time?
Rest in peace, Screech. Rest in peace.
Yeah, and what it was there was literally companies set up to make it look like, oh, we don't, we won't reveal our sources. We don't know how we got our hands on it. But I think he gave it away there when he was like, yeah, things are weird between me and Bob now. He's kind of mad at me because he probably didn't want me to put out the sex tape.
Yeah.
Probably.
I was thinking Alter Bridge. Creed became Alter Bridge with Miles Kennedy as their singer.
I've never heard of. I've never heard of that before.
Alter Bridge?
No.
They're
did
fantastic.
They lean more into their,
I love
Did they lean
them.
more into their Christian rock or?
No, not really. Not
It just sounds like a
lyrically or
Christian
anything.
rock name.
Mark Tremonti basically is the big guy from Creed and Alter Bridge, right? Because he's the lead guitarist and he's the shit, right? So I don't know if you know much about Miles Kennedy, but I think he's one of the best rock vocalists I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
But when they teamed up together and Scott Stapp was out of the picture, I adore Alter Bridge. I think they're a fantastic rock band.
Okay.
Interesting.
I covered
I just kind of enjoy that
songs.
I just kind of enjoy that Creed is basically a meme now.
I never had a problem with Creed. I don't know. Scott Stapp didn't come off as genuine to me. But
no, he's definitely a phony.
But yeah,
but,
I don't know.
But yes, Creed,
not to sidetrack too hard.
Join us
Creed
here in
was
the weeds.
sued by fans who wanted their money back for going to a Creed concert and being like, this was terrible. And when they wouldn't get a refund,
give me my money back. I'm suing you.
When they wouldn't get a refund from Ticketmaster or whoever. I'm sure it must have been Ticketmaster, right? They got a monopoly on that shit. But they were like, fuck it, let's sue the band. They got some publicity, and it really kicked off a lot of the like people being like, yeah, Creed kind of is terrible, right? Like,
And then the Nickelback hate. I don't know which was first.
hey, here's a little tidbit
The
about
chicken or the
Nickelback. Obviously they rub shoulders with Bob.
How come
So
them
when
and
they
Bob haven't done a? Have they done a song together?
They've appeared in each other's videos. Kid Rock was in the video for Rockstar.
Oh, yeah.
So was Wayne Gretzky, though. Damn it.
Yeah, but
a
they
lot of
also
other people.
Kid Rock was this is post after he had split up with Pamela Anderson, and he went on a new tour bus because he had had his bus custom built for him and Pam to hang out on together. And
Oh, whatever.
so-
All it was is a stripper pole.
well, you're not far off.
Built.
Custom
so
stripper mall.
this is right about the time the rise of Nickelback was at the point where it was like, oh yeah, Kid Rock wants to sell his bus. We could buy his bus from him. And yeah, the middle of the bus has a giant like glassed off shower so that Kid Rock could watch Pamela Anderson shower
That's pretty fucking cool.
in the bus.
That's
Yeah.
pretty badass.
But
Yeah.
could you imagine?
Actually,
like,
yeah, that's pretty awesome.
But that was just
Why
for
would
them
you
to travel
change
on. The band is
that?
traveling in another bus or in a van or something. They're flying, whatever, right? Like this is just for them. And so then Chad Kroger comes along and he's like, "Hey guys, I got us a bus." So they get on it and they're like, "The
I guess-
fuck, dude?" Who's
Yeah.
like,
Oh, you can watch a shower now, Chad? No,
There's
I'm
no-
the one who's, you watch. I'm the one who's showering.
the first thing he does is he's like,
No,
I
this is
brought
for
us
me to
here.
shower.
Man, a stripper pole and a fucking shower. Why? But there's no like regular shower where they could be like hidden. No, it's just this big glass shower.
I mean, there's probably another shower. Too.
Maybe they
Big
would just put a
glass.
curtain around it. It'd be fine.
You'd probably have to, yeah.
renovation.
I wonder if they still have that bus. They were like,
Someone has that bus.
yeah.
There's no way you would get rid of that installment. What a waste.
Yeah, it's like, they're like, hey, yeah, great, awesome. Comes with a kitchen and a fridge and everything. They're like, no.
A great shower.
We're rock stars. We're not going to eat. Hey, that's a good line.
So to wrap things up, Kid Rock, there's no fucking appeal to me whatsoever. Even after listening to this album, like for the first time, really, other than the singles I had heard.
Listen to it again for the first time.
He just reeks of nasty to me, and I can't give this guy the time of day, especially now when I know what he's all about, like even politically and like shit. I can't handle it. Fuck, damn it. And thing is there's so many bands that I do like who have a similar aesthetic in some ways. I will say this to wrap things up for myself. Bon Jovi came here to play the Commonwealth Stadium in 2010. Bon Jovi, one of my favorite bands on earth, right? Kid Rock opened for them. Did you go to that, Carly?
Nope.
No? Quinn, no?
No.
Okay. There's no reason for Quinn to go to that. See
No,
either of them.
There's nothing here for me.
I mean, if you had some comp tickets or something, you were like, hey,
You never
wanna
know.
catch
I had
the
to,
show you don't have to pay for? I'd go.
I had to ask. Anyway, I got there late on purpose because I wanted to miss as much as Kid Rock as possible. But then we got there. We caught about 3 or 4 of the Kid Rock set of songs. And I was actually more impressed than I thought I would be because the band, the backing band, the female backup singers, just everything. Like it was, he had a monstrosity of a show and amazing players surrounding him. So he really did put on something huge for that stadium tour.
Mhm.
And I mean, I think it's cool that I guess that he got the Bon Jovi spot, but I was really trying to avoid it. I was like, holy shit. But then I was like, okay, this isn't so bad. What he's done here.
Mhm.
Because he's created something really cool, a spectacle. And if anything, if we get entertainment out of it, that's great. Fine. There were no stripper pools that I saw. No showers on stage, nothing like that. But it did seem to me for the first time where I looked at him, where it seemed to be about the music and not just about and about other players and not just about braggadociousness.
Mm.
And that's why I didn't mind it.
Well, yeah, like I'll go back to my earlier statement where I'll be like, I don't think it's necessarily musically shallow. I think that definitely it was a flavor of the day sort of thing, and he leaned into it a little heavier later on, and then whatever.
Mhm.
But, yeah, some of the backup singers and stuff like that, you know, are very talented. And then I also mentioned something I said earlier because now I'm just thinking about it. I said that it's only Kid Rock, Josie, and Eminem. That's not true. There is also an uncredited, unknown female rapping on the Ode to the Old School.
Mm.
But she doesn't have a credit, and I'm guessing she must be one of the backup singers.
Possibly.
Must be. I don't know. Somebody knows. Somebody for sure knows. But
he had a lot. Regardless of how talented I may or may not think he is, he surrounded himself with a lot of talent to put on a great show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe that is his talent, right? Is that he like
the ringleader
figured out he got people's attention.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
like people were willing to work with him. You know, he sold a lot of records. Like, you know, there's something to be said for that, right? You know, now, so just because something's popular doesn't mean it's good. Right? Like, you know, but at least
it's always good to somebody. It's always good to somebody. You know what I mean? Then what's not good to me might be good to you, vice versa.
Well, that's true. And
There's
like
that.
I always say, there's no accounting for taste.
You're still doing it. You're still being like, oh, well, a bunch of other shit that I don't like is shit. That's okay.
Yeah. You know, I think Charlie's been a good sport though, for, you know, and
thank you for taking
first of
our
all,
abuse
First
on
of
this.
all, I've already won because you guys listened to this album front to back.
I felt like we were doing an episode of Bargain Bin. You know, there's part of me that was like, I guess I have to listen to it again. I'm like, I don't have to fucking listen to it again.
Secondly, I won because I got to revisit this album, and for me, it was at this point for sure nostalgia.
Do you still feel the same way about it when you listen to it now?
Not quite the same way,
Mhm.
but it doesn't. I mean, there's like it doesn't feel as worn or like, you know, like it doesn't feel like, you know, when you listen to some things from the 80s or something, sometimes you're like, oh, okay, you know, like it definitely sounded
the
like
dated
its
feel.
time. Like it
I have
definitely
more
sounded
recent
like the 90s, you know, or the 98 or whatever. It definitely sounded like a product of its time, but not in a way that was like too overproduced or, you know, like the guitars still sounded great, you know, like the
production of the album was fine.
Production's
I had
good.
no issues with the production.
Yeah, I was like, it was missing a little bit of something on the low end in some spots. I was like, it was
sometimes,
weird
but other
to me.
times it
was
maybe
like a
had too
little
much
high
low end.
mids.
So
yeah, it was.
but-
I think it could stand. It's weird to say this, but I'm like, it could stand to be remixed, remastered. But like, you know, it's sometimes though, that's the thing. Sometimes there's a time and a place. Something hits for whatever reason. I think, you know, right at that point, the market was kind of split in two directions. You know, at the same time this was happening, it was also like getting flooded with like, you know, the 90s like boy and girl groups, right? Like were also taking off. And the alternative to that was like this kind of like Limp Bizkit, Korn, new metal, rap rock thing that was taking off. And those were just the flavors of the day, you know, like those were the big popular movements that were happening. And if you were a young adolescent man who was not listening to NSYNC, I can see why you'd be like, that's not my thing. This is my thing. This guy. Right. Great. You know, but sometimes, you know, you grow up and you move on and things aren't, you know, and if you have some nostalgia for it, good for you or whatever, you know, but I don't know. I'm just not that nostalgic of a person myself. Not that I was ever really that into this. So
You've said that before,
so
for
it's hard
sure.
to like visit. I'm not devoid of nostalgia. I just don't have a ton for this era of music in particular. I think this is the worst era of music. Pretty much.
Are you talking about the new metal era, or are you just talking
I'm
about
pretty
the
much
90s
talking
in
about
general?
like popular music from like 96 into like sometime in the early 2000s was a real
This is why you're a great guest.
real rough period.
You're not just like,
popular
yay.
Look, there's a lot of great music that came out at the time, but it wasn't not for me anyway. It like it was a period where the radio was really letting me
You were in
down.
like high school and junior high and high school. You had to be listening to something. This is a very impressionable time in your life for music.
Yeah, but okay, for me, the radio was my friend in the early 90s.
Yeah.
Right. That's when I was the most like this is great, like that like era we were talking about earlier of like of the rise of alternative rock and grunge and so-called like whatever, like like bands like Soundgarden. Remember when Soundgarden was on the radio? Remember when Alice in Chains was on the radio?
Soundgarden and Alice in Chains. They were, in my opinion, the two greatest of the grunge era.
Yeah. Like I was never a big Pearl Jam fan by any means, but it was okay because right after a Pearl Jam song, I remember when fucking had like a hole got played on the on like on like the Bear here in Edmonton. Like that would never, I don't know, maybe it would happen now, but like a few years after that, like by like 96, they're like let's play it a little safer. Hey, there's this new band Creed, and you're like, oh great. Like it was bad. That was
tailor made for the Bear.
Yeah, and then they leaned into that. Like it's weird. I remember anyway, I could go on.
Sorry, non-Edmonton people who don't know what the fuck that is.
The Bear was our alternative rock station that never really matured past about 2003.
They weren't ever an alternative rock station.
Hard rock station.
Always, they were always mainstream rock. Always.
What was our alternative rock station in the
Sonic?
90s?
No, we didn't have one. We didn't have one.
Oh,
yeah, it was the Bear at the time.
I guess if that was the only rock station we had, you might get to hear some Smashing Pumpkins or something, right? I guess.
Well, you heard way too much Smashing Pumpkins.
Right.
Anyway, but I was speaking of things that it's weird though. Like you're like, is it stuck in the 90s? Like I was just talking to Charlie about more recent examples to me that I'm like, it's weird because like I just reheard that Meghan Trainor song the other day, All About That Bass, and I was like, wow, this doesn't hold up at all. This song is terrible. Like, why did I think this was good at the time? Like, but like, or Macklemore, Thrift Shop.
Macklemore.
Like, fuck, this song sucks. Like, what the fuck?
It's okay.
But people loved it.
But Blurred Lines was such a huge song for a long time, and now when you put on Blurred Lines, nobody gives a fuck anymore. They don't get excited about it. They think, ew, gross, Robin Thicke.
Yeah, maybe it's tainted a little bit by Robin Thicke or something, but like, but stuff doesn't always hold up. Sometimes time and a place, it hits for the right reason, whatever.
Same with like I can't even listen to R. Kelly now, and he had some bangers, and I can't. Like fucking Ignition, the remix to Ignition. Hot and Fresh Out the Kitchen. That song fucking rules.
Okay, can we just grandfather in some of R. Kelly's? Like, I'm not gonna listen to anything he makes now.
Can we just like, what if someone just covers it and then we listen to their version?
I think there are a lot of covers of it. I'll bet you there's a Kid Rock cover of it out there somewhere.
Gross.
He does a country rock version of it.
I hope he plays it at the Walmart.
The Clairview Walmart.
Thanks, guys, for doing this with me.
No problem.
Appreciate it.
It's good times.
This is fun.
It's good stuff. It's a conspiracy podcast. They're like our sibling podcast. We love them.
Right.
L2L one day might come back. Who knows? Our other sibling. Another conversation. But yeah, guys, you can check all those things out on your Spotify, on Apple Music, everywhere you get your good podcasts. So I'm just going to stop recording.
Follow us on Facebook at Dope Nostalgia, Instagram, Dope_Nostalgia, or on Twitter at Nostalgia Dope.
This podcast is licensed by SOCAN because we believe that artists should be paid for their work.